Unusually, during World War II, American and German troops joined forces in combat. This happened at the Idar Castle on Austrian territory. The small fortress, built in the 13th century, housed mostly French prisoners. Among them were former Prime Ministers Édouard Daladier and Paul Reynaud, the generals Maxime Weygand and Maurice Gamelin, fellow tennis player Jean Borotra, champion of 5 Grand Slam tournaments, and Marie-Agnès de Gaulle, sister of General Charles de Gaulle. The castle was guarded by a strong detachment of the 17th SS Panzer Grenadier Division. The confinement of these illustrious prisoners was of vital importance to Heinrich Himmler, who believed that if he fell into Allied hands, he would use these captives as bargaining chips, seeking his own immunity. The Supreme Commander of the CSS had already given orders to execute all those prisoners if his objective was not achieved. On May 3, 1945, Zvonimir Kukovic, one of the prisoners, managed to escape, carrying a letter written in English. His mission was to deliver it to the American troops, who were 72 kilometers from the castle. Kukovic contacted on the outskirts of Innsbruck a reconnaissance patrol of the 409th American Infantry Regiment. The Americans, informed of the situation about the captives in the castle, prepared a rescue operation under the command of Lieutenant John C. Lee, who volunteered. When Lee, in command of 14 soldiers, headed toward the castle to rescue the prisoners alive, he encountered German troops waving a white flag. They were commanded by German Army Major Joseph Gangl, who had only 10 soldiers. He had protected and saved the lives of the inhabitants of the small town of Worgl. The danger was that the CSS squads wanted to retaliate against the townspeople for rebelling against Nazi orders to burn their own homes. To prevent them from falling into the hands of the Americans, Gangl had also found out about that the castle captives were going to be executed by the CSS. So, before Lee could say anything and without knowing that the Americans were heading right there, the German asked the lieutenant for help in preventing the massacre. The American officer knew that the German army soldiers did not tolerate members of the CSS and even detested them. He decided to trust Gangl and join forces with them to try to save the prisoners from Idar Castle. In this way, for the first and only time, American and German soldiers fought together against a common enemy, the Nazis. The 24 soldiers arrived at the castle driving 2 Charman tanks and a Volkswagen Kübelwagen military SUV, engaged in close combat, and drove back the guards. They entered the fortress without giving the CSS members time to kill the prisoners. However, shortly afterward, the SS guards returned with more than 150 reinforcements and laid siege to the castle. The fighting was intense and lasted for several hours, until the forces of the German and American defenders began to weaken in the face of the obvious Nazi superiority. It was then that the expertise of tennis player Jean Borotra came into play. He volunteered to sneak away and seek help. Borotra found the 142nd Infantry Regiment, which arrived just in time to tip the balance in favor of the Allies. In this unique case, for his performance in the defense of the castle, Lee was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. Gangl, the German officer, died during this combat. But for saving so many Austrian and French lives, even facing against to his own countrymen to prevent these murderous executions, he was named a national hero in Austria, and a street in Worgl bears his name. Thank you very much for watching this video from the Moss Barna series.